how do Arya and Sansa follow the heroine's labyrinth archetypes, and how do they complement one another? What kind of comments are they making on the feminine condition?
Arya, no, that's a great one. Arya's got some of the best. Sansa's much smaller. She's more of your prototypical captive maiden, almost like right out of a fairy tale. She's a little bit innocent and naive in the early goings. And she is a bridal ambassador. She is married off to, I believe, Joffrey at one.
Well, no, that's Sansa.
Did we say Sansa? What did I say?
I think we started off with, you said Arya, but that's Sansa.
Sansa. Yes. Sansa is definitely the prototypical captive maiden. You know, your typical princess. She's married off to Joffrey at one point, who is very sadistic. Later, she is married off to Tyrion, which, you know, if they're both in the bridal ambassador role, you would imagine, I guess, a better bridge built, but she is not interested in building bridges with Tyrion. She also has I use her as an example of the Black Swan. By talking with Cameron and discussing the Black Swan in depth, the idea of heroines being involved with the random forces of nature, Cameron, and I said, I don't know why. I said, the only thing I could think of, and I think these are valid points as well, but that if your arc is in one place in general, eventually something is going to happen to disturb the order in this place. Eventually there's going to be something that sweeps through this area and overturns that setting. That's one explanation. Another is, I believe that heroines are better in tune in general terms with what I would call complex patterns. They're not obvious patterns. And so heroines tend to be very respectful to these complex patterns. That's why I think they trust randomness more than a hero on the journey. And I asked, and by discussing this with Cameron, I was like, why do you think heroines are doing this? Why is there this like focus? Why does this show up so much in heroine-centric stories? His explanation was the monthly cycles. For a couple reasons. One, it's a pattern that men aren't focused on. So we're not thinking like that. We're not wired to think in that sort of pattern, that rhythm. Whereas heroines are. Two, it's a force of nature. So he's like, that ties into your Black Swan too. So there's this force of nature that is recurrent, and it's a complex pattern, and warrior heroes don't seem to be in tune or aware of it to the same extent. And then thirdly, a woman knows that a heroine knows the minute she becomes a woman. On a random day that cannot be predicted on anyone's scale, it comes sweeping in one day and it just happens. And it's a dramatic change because she has different potentiality after she bleeds for the first time. She can now have kids. And this changes everything about her. It changes the way her parents are going to look at her. It changes the danger that men present to her. It changes an awful lot, and it happens randomly on one day. Men have nothing like this. We mature over a slow period of time, if at all, right? But we certainly don't have a single day where it's like, oh, geez, I'm a man now. Now I'm capable of having kids. Now my attitude, my relationship with society changes on this random day. Sansa has this. She gets her. She's not gonna. There's gonna be no danger to her until she flowers. That's what they say in the episode. And one morning she wakes up. There's a blood stain in the bed, and the maids know what this means, and they frantically go to hide it. Like, we're gonna hide this. We're gonna hide this because now she can give birth. Her husband is now going to treat her differently. You know, he's gonna impregnate her. That's the idea. He's gonna create a male or an heir to the throne. And while they're frantically trying to hide this up, another maid passes by, sees it, and goes and runs off to tell on her. So talk about some drama.
Yeah.
This is not going to happen to a male warrior. This scenario is not going to happen. So this is a Black Swan with Sansa. Arya, however, has some awesome stuff. She has a little bit of a mixture. She does leave the native culture and does go on a little bit of a hero's journey because she leaves and she goes out into the wilderness, right? And she has a great beast as ally too. The Hound.
The Hound, yes.
Another beast totem, an animal totem. And these two are terrifying together. So You get the Beast as ally motif with her and the Hound, and it's a good one. Literally, like Little Red Riding Hood recruiting the the big bad wolf in her bed to be like, let's go on an adventure together. So you get that there. And another one is Arya has the poisoned apple issue. She goes into the house of black and white, and she has to drink that poison to become no one, right? A girl, there's all that language, a girl must not have. So what's the problem with becoming no one? The main problem is that you must surrender your sacred fire. The sacred fire is something that matters to you on an individual level, and that also is passed down to you through the native culture, which is her family name. She's a Stark. She can't do it. She actually hides her sword. Sting, right?
No. It's
Needle.
Needle. Sting is Bilbo and Frodo's sword. you crossed the streams.
I knew that.
Needle. Right.
Yeah, Needle. So she hides Needle. She actually doesn't give it up like she's supposed to. So to me, that's symbolic of her hiding her sacred fire. She can't put out the flame of House Stark. She can't do it. That continuous flame, she leaves it as a little ember hidden under the rocks, but she doesn't put it out like she's supposed to. She drinks the poison, and she goes on this whole thing where she becomes blind. And then she eventually rejects this and takes up her sacred fire again. She recovers Needle and I think a gauntlet, and resumes her quest for vengeance. And there's actually a bad line. He says, "Now you've become no one," which is not true. It's the exact opposite. She's become Arya Stark again and definitively. So that was an example of the writer not understanding the archetypal moment to write that dialogue. But anyway, there's some clear archetypal designs in several of the Game of Thrones heroines, and they're all fascinating. But you'll find a lot of Beast as ally, a lot of bridal ambassadors, and a lot of sacred fire issues with the heroines.